Hi, I'm Ashley Pettit, and I'm here to talk to you about my master's final project paper. For this paper, I chose admissions, financial aid, and career services to focus on, and with looking at the missions, purpose of the department, as well as the skills needed and the competencies that match, you get a better idea for each department. But when you mix these three departments and the issues that they face from the past to the present, you get a better idea of the whole realm. And for me, with this paper, I chose to focus on these three, but I also focused again on my professional developmental plan, so how these all relate to what I want to do in the future. For starters, I'll talk to you about admissions. Admissions, the mission there is to help students transition from high school to college. For these students, they need help with that because it's kind of a challenging process, and these admissions professionals, that's their goal, is to make the transition as smooth as possible. They also process applications of people who have applied, but also give background checks and credentials and make sure that everyone's valid. They also distribute admissions and scholarships and financial aid awards and such, and they just help make sure the materials are easy to read and easy to understand. The requirements for this department include skills working with people and organization skills, because there's a lot to understand and a lot to organize, and you have to make sure your stuff's together in order to explain it to students and families that are coming in to see your school. They also usually have a bachelor's degree, and it's not super specific as to which one is the best, but as long as you have one and you know how to use it and you have people skills and communication skills, you should be fine in this department. The competencies that match best include leadership, student development, history, philosophy, and values, ethical, professional practice, and advising and helping. And I chose these 5 because I researched it, and I researched the best ones that fit, because, as you're an admissions counselor or an admissions professional, you have meetings, and you have to be able to show leadership in them. You have to be able to help the student understand what's best for them when you meet with them, and if it's not your school, you have to be ethical about it, and you have to realize, that's okay. And the goal of this admissions department is to put the student in the best place that they need to be. And if that's not your school, you have to understand that that's okay, and you have to let the student know, okay, it's okay, you're not coming here, let's push you in the right direction even if it's not mine. So that's a little bit more about admissions. For financial aid, the mission is to help families and students understand their financial aid packet, but also help them understand how to apply and what that looks like, and just guide them through the application process. But you also are distributing awards and financial aid. So it's kind of a 3-step process. You help them get to the application, you help them complete it, and then it's your job to see, okay, what is it that they need, and then you give it to them. The requirements include a bachelor's degree in finance, which would be preferable, but also education works and accounting and public service, as well as communication. But with this one, there's quite a bit of experience you should probably have, since you're working so much with money and donors and just different type of things. So 1 to 3 years of experience in that field pretty much sum that up. And that could look like a bank, or even in the department, just probably not a straight up position. You could be an intern or just, offer your services just to get the experience you need to be qualified. The competencies that work best with this department include assessment, evaluation, and research, equity, diversity, and inclusion, law, policy, and governance, advising and helping, and then human and organizational resources. Now for this one, assessment, evaluation, and research kind of deal more with, okay, are the rest of my team, are they doing the best that they can to get these students the best financial aid awards? And this would be more, okay, with these professionals, they're meeting with donors, they're making connections to hopefully give, almost not to the pot, but you know what I mean? They are finding people that can donate to the school so that they can donate to students to get them to come to the school, pretty much. Now, with those competencies, it matches more with the day-to-day duties. So you want to make sure you're in the right policies, you're doing the right things with, such as law, policy, and governance, but also advising and helping. Students need help with this. They don't understand what's going on, and even families too. Families don't know how to do this, so if you help them, you're helping everyone. So that's mostly about financial aid. Moving to the last one is career services, and now that mission is to fulfill the role of higher education's connection to the outside world of academia. So these professionals are speaking with other employers in the community to connect and make connections for the student on their behalf. And now what they're doing is they're providing leadership to the institution about career connections around them, which this is more in line with everything else that's going on. Most students need a college job. Now these are the professionals that help them find that, but then also find a job outside of college. Now the requirements for that, they must understand the general student and development. They have to understand that students develop differently. So for that, they need to understand that a student, they have to understand, that students develop differently, therefore different jobs match best with them. Now, a person who's very number-oriented probably wouldn't match best with a job as an art professor. I'm just making examples here, but as my research showed, they have to understand what a student needs and what's going to fit best with them, and it's their job to find the best fit for them. Now, with these professionals, they also have to have great working relations with the other areas of student affairs. They have to usually have a master's degree. That's what I found, and it was shocking because most of the other ones said bachelor's based on the websites and research I found, but this one was master's degree in higher education or counseling and even student personnel and development and services. So the best way to get a job in that is just to have experience and get the degrees in the right field, and you should be able to do it. And the competencies that match best with this department include student learning and development, as I've mentioned, assessment, evaluation, research, advising and helping, equity, diversity and inclusion, and then leadership. Now, just like the two other departments, this one, the competencies match best with the day-to-day duties. As they're talking with students, they're talking with employers, they're matching kids to the right job, they're using all of this leadership, this knowledge that they have to better the students as well. Now, as I mentioned, there are some issues that face each department. For admissions, the issues are a little more social, I guess. Based on my research, it's just talking about how the student has evolved. And the typical college student does not look like it did 100 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10, or whatever number you want to put. The college student's different each year. And I think that's so interesting just to see how much it's evolved, but it's also a challenge for the department because things need to evolve with that. And that's what I've realized is that the resolution to that issue is just to evolve with the student. Move with them. Realize that, okay, the typical student is not, high-class white male anymore. It's completely different because the work of higher education in general is getting every kind of student an opportunity. And so as admissions professionals realize this, they realize that evolving with a student is the best way to help that problem. With financial aid, there are quite a few issues that they faced over time and just more now. And it's mostly, some of them include need-based aid versus merit-based aid, which we've talked about in this class, but also the gap between your financial aid award and then the tuition cost. But not just tuition, more like the cost of education, I guess is the best way to put it, because the number you pay for a year of college is far more than just the tuition. You have books and a book bag if your book bag breaks, or just different there are many, many things that add up to make the cost of education. And the gap between that and your tuition award is what causes a lot of people to not come to college or not come to your school, for instance. So as financial aid professionals realize this, they're realizing, okay, we need to have more financial aid to give. We need to have more opportunities available for students. We have to know how to get them to the right process, I guess. If it's a loan or whatever it may be, they have to understand, okay, we need to do this well. And that's what I realized. The resolution is to find more donors, find more connections, help students see the benefit of the college education and see if it is worth it for them. Lastly, the career services, they deal more with jobs not working out. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, how career services, their professionals have to match the student. They have to know the development of the student. This is still a problem. Sometimes jobs do not work out. As much as you know a student, you think it's going to work, something happens, whether it's the work environment or the schedule, they quit the job or something like that occurs. And through my research, I've realized that the resolution is internships while a student's in school. The internship kind of mode, I guess, is saying, okay, let's fit a student with this job and see if they like it. Let's let them get their feet wet, go ahead and go try it and see if they like it before they get on their own and this is their only source of income and they don't like it and they don't know what to do, so they quit. And we don't want that. As a school, we want to like match kids perfectly or as best as we can, and to help them have the most opportunities available to them. So more with all of that, as you've realized, is that my personal developmental plan kind of deal with all three of these. Now, admissions, I could see myself working in, same as financial aid, but career services I chose because I had no intention of it. I had no intention of going to the department because I didn't know anything about it. But after all my research, I realized that it could be something I could thrive in, but I'm going to probably focus more on admissions and financial aid, and that's something I knew coming into this assignment, but I also it solidified that for me, so I'm thankful because now I have a good idea as to what I'd like to do, or what it takes to do what I want to do, or just what it's like to even be in a department itself. But overall, this research has been really helpful. I've learned a lot, and it's given me a better idea of higher education as a whole and its different pieces and how they all fit together and what makes an institution run. Thank you.